As you should know by now, we like to get into the definitions of stuff before we get into the opinion and the breakdown of what it's actually doing. So, what fasting is to abstain from all or some kinds of food or drink. I put in brackets by choice, and the choice part links to the mental part. The choice of choosing to abstain from these things is part of the reason why these benefits are so prevalent, especially that third one that you see. So, what is fasting and what takes place when we fast? So, as we said, it's abstaining, so not having food or drink for a certain period of time, ideally over 6, 7, 8 hours, ideally going for a sustained period of time. The longer we fast, within reason, don't be doing it for a month. The longer we fast, the more we experience these benefits, both physiologically and psychologically. So, number one, improved focus. This is a big one. So, when you go a certain period of time without food or water or any calories per se, we'll just say fast. We're just going to say fast so we don't have to explain it all the time. When we go a period of time, when we fast, our focus improves drastically. What else happens? Our anxiety decreases. What else happens? Our mental resilience increases. And that links to the point, as I said in brackets, by choice. When we fast by choice. Now, how do all of these things take place? Let's get into the good stuff. So why should we consider fasting? Should have probably changed the title. What does fasting do mentally? What does it actually do? So the first thing that takes place is when we fast, we get rid of the digestive stress. So think of it like this. When you're eating and your stomach is full, half full, whatever, if there's stuff in your stomach, your body's working. Your body is literally working. The inside mechanics are working to break down the food, break down the things that are in your stomach, which obviously will obviously cause the body to stress if it's doing too much. So the more energy the energy that we would have used, that our body would have used to go into our stomach and break down all the food molecules and all that stuff, that sciencey stuff, that energy goes to thinking. Like in the last line, it said mental clarity or focus. That energy that our body would be using to go into our stomach goes into our mind basically, and we focus a lot better. The next one is, and this goes into the point of being present, less reactive and more present. And this is not a sit there and meditate and yeah, you're going to become present. It's none of that stuff. Like literally what happens is when we fast for a certain period of time, our dopamine balances back out. Dopamine's a video in itself, so I ain't going to get into it too much, but dopamine basically is the gratification chemical in our brain of experience. Now, when we fast, our dopamine baseline should be here. Most of our dopamine baseline is here. Basically, we need to stimulate a lot in order to experience things well. We need to stimulate a lot. Hence, we're always on our phones. Hence, we're always looking for some sort of gratification. Now we need a sugary drink. We need something to stimulate us. What happens is when we get rid of that for a certain period of time, a prolonged period of time. That's what I'm going to say instead. We're less reactive and we become more present because our dopamine goes from this threshold back down to where it should be. Small tasks, things like writing and things that used to be extremely stimulating back then that aren't now, become stimulating again because our dopamine goes back to where it should be. And the present part, because of that whole thing that I just spoke about, the reset and whatnot, you just become a lot more present. And if you're somebody that struggles with presence, and I am definitely someone like I've got into combat sports and fighting and all sorts of nonsense because I struggle with presence, and that high adrenal state was the only times I was present. So for me, going on a fast definitely improved my presence. Like whatever I'm doing, I'm locked into it, and I'm a lot more there with people that I love, with all sorts of things. So yes, it's actually quite a deep one. The next one. Now this is getting sciencey. I don't even like the fact it's getting this sciencey. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to have a little break. Bit ginger in there as well. So, increased BDNF, which is your brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Woo! It's a mouthful. Basically, your BDNF is a protein in your brain, which we already have. But what happens is, as we fast, this increases, which supports our neuroplasticity. Flip. This is super sciencey. This is getting too sciencey. Neuroplasticity is basically the our brain's ability to expand, and what happens through expansion is our learning improves, our experience improves, linking to the dopamine, and third of all, our memory improves. So you will notice if you go on a fast for a prolonged period of time, as we're calling it, if you go on a fast, the longer you go on that fast, you'll start to remember stuff from years back, just randomly, just flip. When I was 8, like that happened. It's very interesting what happens, and that's not a coincidence. That is through the process of your BDNF increasing. I just said a word that is extremely jazzy and sciencey. So we're going to go to it and we're going to explore what the word actually is and what does it mean. Boom. I promise this is the last bit of science because I know it's getting a bit sciencey. Neuroplasticity, as I said, the ability of the brain to form and reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experience. So as I said, it's literally the process of your brain sort of reorganizing to the point where your learning will improve and you'll remember, so your memory will improve, and you'll remember just random stuff that happened when you're like 5 or 6 years old that you would have never thought about if you was. Why is that coming up on my screen? Go away, mate. I'm in the middle of something and you're telling me about disc ejecting. Whatever. Anyways, as I said, learning and experience improves. Memory as well through neuroplasticity. Wow. All in all, let's bring it back to the real world and get out of science land. The effects that fasting has on your brain, on our brains and our mental health is too big to ignore. Way too big to ignore. And as much as it supports, we've already spoken about physically. I've made a video on that. It should pop up in one of the corners. As much as it has a kind of amazing effect physically, there is also an incredible effect that happens mentally when we go for a long period of time without food or water. There's an extreme effect happening in our minds, and it's not coincidence. The fact that you become more present, the fact that you will be able to remember things that, or you'll be thinking about things you would have never thought of, the fact that you are experiencing like the basic things that you don't get much gratification out of, like conversations, like reading or writing or whatever it is, the fact that your gratification through doing those things, whilst you're doing those things, sorry, improves, is not a coincidence. There's psychologically things are rewiring and things are taking place, beautiful things are taking place when we go for a prolonged period of time without food or water. Yeah, it's special, man. The mind's an incredible thing. But that's it. I sound too much like a science teacher, so I'm cutting that science stuff. I'm gonna drop some actionables. One day this week, set 8 hours. Just start with 8 hours where you go without food. Go without food for 8 hours and write down some of the things you think, some of the ways you feel. If you can do more than 8 hours, you can raise it to 16 or 24. Even better. These benefits you'll experience you'll experience more. And yeah, write it down, the experience, because it's one of those things where we can talk about it all day, but until we experience the improvements to our mental health, to our mind, to our thinking, to our clarity, to all of these things, then it's just talk. But yeah, this is the process. This is what happens. These are some of the things you will experience, and enjoy them. Be present in them. Until the next one, love for the love. See you in a bit.